Hey everyone, welcome back to the Corner Talks podcast. I have here a film director from Los Angeles, Axel Arzola. How's everything? How are you coping during these crazy times, buddy?
Hey Daniel, I'm doing really good today, man. And it has been kind of a weird year, but I think 2021 things are getting more traction, things are getting a little bit better. So thanks a lot for the opportunity. I'm really excited to talk to you and see how we can help each other and all that.
Yeah, the first thing to give everyone some background, we connected over Instagram through our posts, our social media content, and Axel reached out to me, and I was, so honored to have you as a guest. Always enjoy people that got involved in the film industry and, hearing about their story, which I'll ask you, how did you get involved in filmmaking?
So I started with film when I was like a teenager. I'm originally from Cuba. I'm born and raised in Cuba, and over there it's really hard for people to get into film and to work in the arts and all that because the economical situation is really tough. But I was always interested in computers and video games, and that's how I got into working with cameras and editing. So when I was a teenager, I started doing little shorts and things with my friends, and it kind of snowballed, and I started doing bigger and bigger and bigger projects. And
Right.
then by the time I was like 18, I was doing like large music videos and making different projects, and that's how I was able to get out of Cuba. I went to a film festival in France, and then I went to a film festival in Canada, and that's how I ended up coming to the US and got a scholarship to go to film school. So film has been always like my biggest passion and something that I love like with all my heart. And I just started putting in the work and learning and meeting new people. And now I'm in LA. I have a feature film that just came out recently, and I'm still pursuing the same dream that we all have of like making movies and making it big in the entertainment industry. But it
Of
all
course.
started with me loving movies and loving movies like to everything I could put in. I would put it into my work,
Right.
and that passion kind of grew in working with different people and learning, and that's how things kind of got bigger from there.
Yeah, that's great. Great story to hear, and I can relate to that a lot. That passion, that drive for filmmaking and being involved in the industry, expressing and telling your stories. Just looking at your page, you can already immediately tell that you're a very creative individual, and every shot is curated to express the right vision and convey the emotions you're going through at that time in your life. So you're in Los Angeles now,
Yes.
and is this what made you? How did you end up in Los Angeles? Is this because of filmmaking, or was there an opportunity that you saw?
Yeah, it's 100% because of my career and wanting to be in Hollywood and in the movies. For me, growing up in Cuba, it was always like the dream to come to America and to try to pursue like a career in film. But it
Right.
also seemed like something that wasn't going to happen. Like I
Hmm.
was so poor. We had no equipment. We had nothing, and uh, things happen in a certain way that I was able to travel to different countries to go to all these different film festivals. And then you start seeing that, well, maybe this is actually something that I can do, like something that I can do as a career. And once you start doing some bigger projects and you start getting paid and you
Of
start
course.
making money, then you realize, okay, this is something that I love, but it's also something that is practical and that I can actually feed my family and like make a career out of it. So once I saw that, I was really young. I was like probably in my early 20s when I started making money with my projects. And I remember I made the first video ever that I made in the US was a music video for Kia. And they had this competition online and everyone had to submit, and it was like over 300 submissions, and we ended up winning the competition with my video, and like they gave me a brand new Kia, and it was like
Wow,
in the
that's amazing.
newspaper. Yeah, it
Yeah, the
was like,
congratulations. Yeah, that's insane.
thanks,
Yeah,
thanks. And that was incredible, and that for me was like, I can actually do this. Like, I'm not crazy. I
of
can
course. Yeah,
I
that
can pursue
recognition.
this.
Yeah,
Yes. So having that in, I think also the experience of leaving my country, which for people who don't know, Cuba is a communist country, so it's really hard to leave. And for me being able to leave thanks to working on film projects, after that I was like, anything can happen, like anything is possible. Like if I was able to leave my country to go make movies in the US, then I'm going to be crazy enough to go to LA. I'm going to pursue this full time. I'm going to give it a shot,
Of
because
course.
what else am I going to do? Like, if I did any other thing, I would always be thinking about how can I make movies. So, this career has highs and lows, and you have good times and bad times. But at the end of the day, this is what we love doing. So we have to go all in on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that, that's something that again, I can relate to as well, is that drive. It's that itch to be creative. And the fact that I commend you, the fact that you kind of dedicated your whole life to this passion, right? A lot of people, even, coming from your background, how you're explaining that you were poor and you came from a country, a communist country, that was very difficult to pursue a dream like that. I hear so many people in the industry or living in Canada or even in the US that are making excuses or maybe finding it difficult to pursue their own passion. But hearing your story, it just makes me realize, how grateful I am, and how grateful I should be in pursuing film, because people like yourself start off in a different way, right? We can't
Mhm.
control where we come from, but we can control where we're headed.
Yes.
So that's very important. And the fact that you won that competition with Kia, I personally love car commercials. I think they're so well
Mhm.
done, and I feel like they follow a certain standard. What was your experience like working for or doing a car commercial?
Well, for us, what I tried to do was, okay, let's do something that is a little bit different. I love commercials. I watch commercials all the time, and they're really hard, and people kind of hate on them because, oh, like another commercial. Like, I don't want to watch another commercial. Like, I want to watch my show.
Right.
But the creative people who create those commercials, like, they're genius. So we had to do this commercial for Kia, and this was a long time ago. And what I thought of was, it would be really cool if we created this like cool commercial where we have actual kids are the ones that are driving the car, and we had a baby was the one like driving the car, and then they pull up to this like house party, but it's all
Yeah.
like 5-year olds and 7-year olds, and they have this rave and they're playing the music and all that. So it was really fun creatively to just come up with that idea and say, okay, let's do that.
Mhm.
Like, we didn't try to do anything crazy because we didn't have the equipment or the locations or like the resources to make it
Yeah.
super
Too
like this.
stylistic, and yeah,
Yes,
because
we
a lot of
we
the car commercials we see are very like sexy, and
Mhm.
you got the one with Regina King. I can't remember what Cadillac, I think it was,
Mhm.
where she goes to the opera house, and or she's coming off of a film shoot. It's just you could see the production value. Another one that
Yeah.
comes to mind with Eminem back when he did the Cadillac commercial. But I like what you said is, and that's for a lot of filmmakers that including myself, that I need to realize is we need to adjust to what we can afford, like with our budget,
Mhm.
right? Or we have to
Yes.
be real with ourselves. A lot of the times when I write, I get carried away and imagine these very expensive sets and these vast worlds, and I realize until I get to that level of filmmaking, I need
Mhm.
to focus on what you were saying back to about short films and kind of how much you can um, mold into that context, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's very interesting experience. I'm glad that sounds like a really fun idea with the whole kids and stuff. People can obviously watch this on YouTube. Is this available on YouTube for people to watch?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I think if you search Kia Soul competition and my name after it, it will probably show up.
Oh, perfect. All right, so everybody check
Yeah,
that out. I'll definitely be checking that out after this podcast.
cool.
Like I
Yeah,
said, I'm always a big fan of car commercials, man. So great job on that.
thanks.
So again, you're a film director, and I'm always interested in because the on the film set there's so many roles. There's
Mhm.
the actor, there's the writer, there's the editor. There's all these different roles you can play in filmmaking. Is there something special that drew you to becoming a film director, or does that
Yes,
just happen?
well, in my case, I started as an actor. So when I was like
Okay.
4 years old, I started acting in plays, and I kept acting until I was like 14, 15. Then I was the one directing the plays, and like, it was something kind of natural. I think it goes with my personality.
Hmm.
I believe I'm like a natural leader, and I would always have like ideas. What if we do this? What if we do this? Like, and when you direct, you almost play all the roles, which is super interesting because
Of
then you're
course.
not tied into just one role. And I don't know, I was kind of good with other people, giving them directions and being able to, inspire people in a way that they want to do the things that you want them to do. I think that came natural to me, and that mixed with being interested in cameras and editing and like all the different aspects. Like I'm obsessed with cameras. I'll watch cameras and like reviews, and like I'll know the specs, and I love all the lenses, and like I love that world. But what I love more than that is like putting all the pieces together. And when you close your eyes and you imagine, okay, this moment on the script should feel like this. I get so like excited when I can do that, and
Of course.
think of something in my head,
Yeah.
then communicate to people, put the camera in the right place, and then I know how I'm going to cut it in the editing. And then when you finish that, you have the color, add the music, and then build that little story, and then you watch that for a little bit, and you're like, okay, that's exactly what I had in my head. Like that feeling, like you get a high in
Yeah.
all of those
Hmm.
moments. And for me, that's like I could not do anything other than that, because I've been a cinematographer and I've shot projects for friends and I can do it, but part of me, like I would want to be doing things differently. And
Exactly. Yeah.
I have
You want to be
edited
control of
projects.
the you want to be control of the story, right? That's what
Mhm.
you're probably getting at is regards to directing. That's for
Yes,
me how I see the position is, especially when you have a story. Do you write as well,
I
Axel?
do a little bit of
Yeah.
writing. That's the part that I mostly try to work with other writers. I'm
Right.
really good at breaking down the story and breaking down outlines, but then I don't have the patience to like sit down and like
Hmm.
write everything myself. And also, what I have found is that uh, when you collaborate with people who are better than you, then things are a lot better.
Yeah. It
So
elevates your
I
craft for
found
sure.
myself,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I find myself like with these writers that I know, they're amazing. Like they spend so much more time than I do writing and getting better. So I've decided, with writing, I'm gonna let them carry on and take their projects. And then it's a very collaborative experience too. Like the writers that I work with, we
Yeah.
love working together because we get to, like, I give them ideas, they push back, I push back, and then at the end something amazing happens. So
Yeah, no, that a lot of that back and forth, for sure. In any role that you play in filmmaking, it's always important to have a team, and that's why a lot of creatives, like ourselves, probably. I don't know about yourself, but faced a struggle when the pandemic happened because we didn't know how severe it would get, and
mhm.
uh, it's so dependent on having a team and having people to bounce ideas off. And then when you finally get to the point of production, that's critical. You need people on set, and depending on um, the size of the project, you need even more people than the restrictions allow, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like when the pandemic hit, I was working on a series for Amazon. I was working as a location manager. We were filming downtown LA. We were filming at this amazing theater, and they just, like, I was on my way to set, and they just called us and say, like everything is shutting down because of the restrictions. Like you couldn't have that many people. We went from like, okay, we're filming, to okay, everyone go home. We don't know when we're coming back. And initially, I thought, this is gonna last a couple weeks, a month tops, and then 7 months later
No,
was when
for
I was
sure.
able to get back on set again.
Wow.
So in here in LA, we still have restrictions. So right after that whole time, the first project that I was able to do is I went to Georgia to produce a music video for this artist named Sebastian Yatra for Universal Music. And
Nice.
over there, the restrictions were kind of different. We had a lot more freedom. And then when I came back, we did that for about a week, and then I came back to LA and started working as a location manager on a show for Hulu. But we had, everyone had to get tested weekly. They have these different zones where
Right.
the actors have to get tested like every other day, and the people close to the actors have to get tested every other day. And it made the whole process eh, a lot more complicated and kind of awkward, because
Of
it
course.
takes so long for things to move along. Like you need to have a cleaning person that will come. Like I remember we were shooting this driving shot in a car, and you have like the camera rig outside. So every time they had to reset something, like the actor will have to get out, go to her trailer, the cleaning crew will have to come in, wipe everything, then the camera people will come and like reset the camera and make any adjustments. Then cleaning had to come in again, sanitize everything, and then the actress could come back and be
Wow.
on the car. So, you know, in film, you're always running against time and trying to
Yeah, of
stay on budget, and then this
course.
is adding so many different layers. So I think most people, sorry, most people are just utilizing this time to try to write and develop new projects and
Hmm.
come up with new ideas,
Of course.
and somehow cope with the fact that we don't have our lives back yet. Uh, but thankfully, projects are getting back. I just finished working on a show called Blind Spotting, and we shot the whole first season from November until now. And then next week, I'm going to start as a location scout on a pilot for ABC. So slowly things are getting back up. We have figured out the process of testing plus being safe on set so people don't get sick. So the last few shows that I've been on, almost no one has gotten sick. Maybe a couple people here and there, but it didn't spread out to the whole crew. And we're taking a lot of measures to make sure that people are safe. But man, I can't wait for this thing to go away so we can
Yeah,
actually
no,
start shooting other stuff.
of course, yeah, and that's why I brought up, how you're coping with the situation. From my end, I hear that California was getting hit pretty bad, and
Yeah.
especially Los Angeles. Um, in terms of the kind of health of the industry, like where it's headed, I hear a lot of things like people moving out of Los Angeles, and celebrities talk about it, like on Joe Rogan. Do you
Mhm.
feel there's a big change in the industry, a shift that's happening where you're at?
I think right now most of what's happening is people are staying put and no one is making big decisions yet. That's
Hmm.
kind of the sense that I have. The projects that are being shot are mostly projects that were already greenlit from before, or shows that are coming back to finish their season. Uh, the idea of people moving out of LA and moving out of California to go to other states to make movies, that's something that has been happening for a while now. I lived in Atlanta for about 2 years, from like 2017 to 2019, and I worked on a couple movies there as an assistant, and then I worked on a large TV show as a location scout. And even though productions go into Georgia and go into those states and they shoot there,
Hmm.
the top people, they always come back to LA, because
Right.
something that you have to understand that I don't think people will get unless they visit here and they spend some amount of time here. The thing that is missing is that LA still is the capital of the entertainment industry, and the
Hmm.
people at the top that work at the studios, all the executives, all the development executives, all the big name actors and writers, and all of those people, they still live here. They have their families here. They have their friends here. It's true that it's really hard to live in California because of the taxes, and the price of the cost of living here is really high. But then you bump into people in your industry all the time. Like in this building, like the other day, I was going to on the garage and I bump into a guy and we start talking, and oh, he's an actor, I'm a director, and then we start talking, and like on Instagram we see like, oh, you're working on this and I'm working on that. The same happened with another friend. Now we're working on a script together, and he has two other friends that are also actors on another TV show. And like, if we put this project together, maybe you can get this other person to work on the project. And during the during the lockdown, I was going to play soccer with some friends. And then one of the guys that's playing with us, he's a writer. We start talking, he has a script. Now I option that script, and now we're developing and trying to pitch that to the studios. So that amount of overlap with people in the industry, you don't find that in Atlanta. You don't find that in other smaller cities that have the tax incentives, but they
Hmm.
don't have the culture and the community built in there. So I don't think that's going to go away. Plus, California is beautiful,
Yes.
nice weather, amazing culture here.
Hmm.
And yes, with COVID and all of this, it makes it hard. But I personally haven't seen many of my friends just picking up and
Pick
going.
it up and go. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I in my
yeah.
personal experience, that's not happening yet. People talk about it. You definitely think about it because of the high taxes and all that. And the people who might say that, who are big name actors and
Hmm.
all that, they don't really need to be here. They're gonna
Yeah,
make their projects wherever they live.
there's a huge
So
difference for sure.
yes, and
Yeah.
they can say, "Oh, I'm getting my house in Texas or
Yeah.
Nevada or Vegas," and they will move and put their house there, but they're gonna stay in touch with everyone here. And whenever they need to do a project, they'll fly out here and do
Yeah.
everything. So that's different from like someone starting out. Like, are you gonna find a lot of amazing actors in Texas if there's no production going on in Texas? It's gonna make it really hard.
No, you make some very valid points, and that's exactly that's why I bring it up because as much as I hear these celebrities moving out, again, back to your point, is I don't feel like they're going to abandon the city entirely because eventually they're still going to, it's still considered a creative hub. And I've been to Los Angeles, and people knowing me that are listening, they know how much I desire to move out there one day,
Mhm.
because, to take my career to another level. Because everybody knows that that's the hub, like you just said. There's a certain lifestyle. It's a beautiful place, but also,
Mhm.
waiting in line at the Cinerama Dome. I was just talking to some guy, and he was much older than me, and he asked me what I did, and then I asked him what he did, and then I joked around. I'm like, "You in film?" And he's like, "How'd you know?" And he was serious, like dead face, and I'm like, "Oh, I just assumed everyone here is in film, but if you're not," and he's like, "No, I'm actually I do assistant directing on this." Like he works in insurance, but he's also an assistant director. And
Mhm.
you'll never find, at least for film, anywhere where people are working their own job, but they're also in the film industry or associated with some sort of creative endeavor. And that's what you
Yeah.
were back to what you were saying, is that you run into someone that, oh, you're an actor, oh, you're a writer, or oh, let's connect, right?
Mhm.
In Toronto, I have to say, it's, I think, increasing more and more. There's
Mhm.
definitely a community, and I found a lot of benefits in that, creating projects in the last year during the pandemic. But Los Angeles, like even the projects you're explaining right now, it's just completely different level. Like working on Amazon, Amazon, right? Your location
Yeah.
scanning, yeah, a series for
Yeah.
Amazon, right? Um, it just puts it in a different world. And I don't believe it'll go away anytime soon. I just feel like there's a huge pause. And
Mhm.
once things, go back to normal, I don't think you can ever ignore the city and how it's functioning, right? What it can
Yeah.
contribute to the
100%.
entertainment industry. But yeah, but speaking of, running into people, have you ever ran into people the audience might know of, or people that are very influential, maybe someone that's inspired you?
Uh, I think it happens mostly on set. When you like the other day we had on the show that I was working on, they had Helen Hunt, who's an amazing
Mm.
actress, and she was there, and I'm like, I'm standing there looking at her, and she was doing her thing, and I'm just looking at the way the director is setting up the scene and doing all that, and I'm
Hmm.
kind of learning, and then you just think, like I'm getting to see like one of the best actresses in the whole world doing their thing
In
here.
her
And I
game,
get to
yeah,
see that.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I get to see that. I remember one day I was driving on the interstate and I saw this guy, Galifianakis. He was driving like
Oh
his
yeah,
weird little car.
Hangover,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's the dude from The Hangover. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So yeah, you do run into people here and there. I don't think celebrity, like they don't go out to the streets as much like
Hmm.
they used to do before, because like now everyone has their own private lives and you
Of
have all the
course.
paparazzis and all that. But you can be at the gym and you start talking to someone. Like I remember I was talking to some guy, hey, like, can I use this machine? Can we like jump in on the set together? And then we start talking, and the guy was a producer and he had done like a huge animated film that had grossed like $20 million or something like that. And uh, he he starts talking about the experience, and I tell him about, yeah, I finished my feature film and it's coming out like on video on demand soon. And he was like giving me advice about like whenever I go on my next project and I try to raise money. And this
Right.
was just like at the gym, which is really cool, and it doesn't
Yeah,
happen everywhere.
You don't get you definitely don't get those interactions as often.
Hmm.
Not to say that I haven't ran into people. I think I just ran into people more so like yourself on Instagram and social media, and I
Hmm.
would have to go to networking events in Toronto. But I
Hmm.
think, like you said, the probability of the opportunity to run into someone that is in the industry is so much higher, and you can
Hmm.
benefit a lot from that. Is there
Yeah.
anyone you speak of Helen Hunt very highly? Is there anyone particular, like a film director or someone, an actor maybe, that inspired you to take on filmmaking?
Yeah, for me, the biggest inspiration I think is Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
With
okay,
all
great.
of his films, he's kind of the lead director that I really look up to. Another guy that I really admire is J.J. Abrams with his company and the type of movies that they make and the culture that they have in their company. So those are definitely two of my main inspirations, and
Hmm.
I hope that I get to meet them someday. And
Of
more than that,
course.
I hope that I get to make movies and inspire kids like me in the future that would also look up to me and be like, oh, I want to be like Axel and I want to make cool movies and all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like for me, like film is one of those things that it brings so much joy to my life. And I like all kinds of movies and I watch all kinds of movies and TV. And I just want to make that for other kids, and for other
It's also
teenagers
generational.
that are running around with a camera.
It's generational. I was gonna add
Hmm.
is, like you were saying, like I'm thinking of J.J. Abrams and Spielberg. J.J. Abrams is a huge fan of Spielberg. He was inspired by him, and
Hmm.
it just
Yeah.
goes to show you that, let's say you're in that situation where you have the opportunity to work with J.J. Abrams, right? It'll be generational. You'll be the
Hmm.
next generation, and then there'll be someone that was inspired by your work, right? And there's
Yeah.
obviously music. There's all these careers that uh, leave behind a legacy. They transcend the work that you're creating. Um, but that's what makes, for me, one of the elements that make film so special is, if the story is that good, if your movies are that powerful, people generations from now will still watch them, will still, you know, kind of get an insight on what was going on in your mind, your imagination at the time. Maybe because I'm a big fan of history, I've always liked the idea of, looking into the past and kind of see like our roots, like where we come from. So that's
Hmm.
that's pretty. That's definitely something very special, that I think what we both strive for when we create our films. And I wanted to get on the subject of, because you mentioned you do a lot of music videos. How important is
Hmm.
music for you in film? Um,
Well, music for me is like not just in film, but in life. Like I listen to music 24/7, dude.
okay, good.
And for me, whenever I'm working on a project, I usually create my playlists and I add soundtracks and songs from other people and put it there. And
Right.
for me, it's really easy to get in the mood of whatever scene I'm working on with music. I do a lot of my editing based on the music. Uh, I don't know. I think music is one of the most powerful creative things that we have and one of the most powerful tools that we have making movies. Like you can have whatever scene and it might not be working. You find the right track, you put that in there, and it's like, wow, it's like this
Hmm.
heart mind connection that happens with music. So for me, it's extremely important. It's, I mean, almost as important as the visuals. I'm also a very visual person, but definitely music is that one last piece that puts everything like it makes everything like hold and stick together.
Yeah, you said it right there. Music, listening to a playlist to inspire you, whether it's to create a scene or a whole film. Especially if you're writing, I listen to music, um, to really get those creative juices flowing. And it's been proven so many times that music helps even save, like you just said, you put a piece of score in and it just changes the whole dynamic, right? It's done it with Star Wars. I
Mhm.
remember even watching a Home Alone documentary, and they were explaining when John Williams worked his magic, completely saved the film from being mediocre. So
Mhm.
yeah, music is a huge part, and I'm glad that you have so much of a respect for it, because it's so important as a filmmaker. um, but obviously, this with being in music videos, seeing how it can elevate your work. But yeah, so looking at your social media page, before we had this
Mhm.
this podcast, I noticed you have a link. I wasn't able to view it, but I intend to. It's called Literary Ink. Can you tell us about that? Is this a short film that you worked on?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about it. Like, what's it
No,
about?
Literary Ink is actually a feature film.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes, Literary Inc. is it's a documentary about tattoo artists, and it follows four tattoo artists, their lives, their creative process, and like their background and their story and what they want to do. And they all came together to this one convention called Literary Inc., which is a tattoo convention for Harry Potter fans. So they had like over 100 artists from all over the world came to this convention, and they were all making Harry Potter tattoos. So it's this crazy mix of like Harry Potter visuals and like the wizards and everyone dressed up
Right.
as Harry Potter and like the different houses. And they were all there to make tattoos. And the people that were coming to get tattoos, they were also huge Harry Potter fans. So that's kind of the backdrop of the film. And then I focus on these four different artists and kind of follow their story. There's a girl from Australia, there's another girl from Oakland, then there's a lady from Tennessee who's putting on the event, and then one of my best friends is a tattoo artist from Cuba. So we went to Cuba and we filmed his family and like the whole story, how he came out of Cuba and became a tattoo artist in the US. And we talked about the origin stories of all of them, how they started creating the tattoos. And it's super visually interesting.
Of
And we
course.
also have a little bit of emotion with their personal stories and like what are they going to do in the future with their art and all of that. So I had a blast making that movie. It took a long time to finally put it together, and then being able to see it on iTunes and on Amazon and all that, and like have the release. We got picked up by Gravitas Ventures to do the North America release. I think you probably won't be able to see it in Canada yet because they
Oh, okay.
haven't released it yet. I think
Hmm.
the link that you had on
Yeah, it
my
wasn't working
Instagram
for
was
me.
for the US
Right.
version, but
Yeah, no,
yeah, I think they have the US only, and then slowly it would hit all the other territories.
that's great. Yeah, that you delved into the whole tattoo industry. I'm a huge fan of body art, and if it's done right, I don't know if you're a fan. Did you end up getting a tattoo once you did this documentary? Did it inspire you to get any tattoos?
No tattoos for me, my friend.
Oh, no
Not
tattoos
yet.
for
I
you.
don't
No worries.
think for me, if I ever no tattoos. This is the thing. I love tattoos, but I love seeing them on other people. I don't think I would put anything on me because it will be changing. Like whatever I want will change, and then you
Hmm.
can't change it. So if I ever get a tattoo, this is something I tell my friends all the time. If I ever get a tattoo, it's gonna be like a full-on body suit. It's gonna be like from here on down, everything
That's what
front and
everyone
back.
says that
It's gonna
hasn't had a
be
tattoo.
like
It's gonna be like a canvas, like a beautiful mosaic piece of art.
yes, yes, it will, because I was able to like meet all these different artists, and in the
Right.
tattoo world, as you progress in your art, people make this larger and larger pieces. And like I have a friend, Ross Abbott from Atlanta. The guy only makes like full on like your whole back. It's like he doesn't do anything other than a
Yeah.
full on
Little
tattoo.
small
They're
tattoos. Yeah.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love to see like small tattoos on people, like well-made tattoos. I love looking at them, and I always ask people on the street, oh, I love your tattoo, let me see it. And I love that art, and it's so visually interesting, but I don't think I need to have any on me just yet.
Yeah, no, it's a commitment, man, for sure. Because you could get bored of it
Hmm.
very easily. I got a when I went to Los Angeles, I got myself a tattoo, but it was very small, and it's on my forearm.
Yeah.
But it's the meaning behind my name, and that can never get old in a way because my name is always going to be attached to me, and that is God is my judge.
Hmm.
Because Daniel, that's what it means in
Hmm.
Hebrew. So that's something that I respect is if you get a tattoo and if you don't like it in a few years you're screwed, or it's something you have to live with, and that's the last thing you want because it's so permanent. It
Yeah.
takes, yeah, it's a different kind of commitment for sure, man.
Hmm.
But yeah, so before we go, I just want to know, is there any projects you're looking forward to, specifically? I seen that you posted something about Adios, a billboard.
Yes. Yes, that's the music video that we did with Sebastian Yatra. I was
Oh,
the
okay.
the producer, and you can watch that if you search Adios
Hmm.
on YouTube. It will show up.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
a music,
Everyone check it out.
yeah, yes, beautiful music video. We got almost 10 million views in the first week. Sebastian is an amazing artist. Like the writing that he does with his songs is incredible. And I was lucky enough that I got the call to go and produce that. We shot in Blue Ridge Mountain. We found this beautiful location, and the project was one of the hardest things that I've had to make because we were running out of time, out of money. Like we were shooting out away from the city. It was hard to get equipment, hard to get the crew out there. So as a producer, it was like a logistical nightmare, but we were able to pull it off. And it's a very emotional song, and it's really beautiful. So it was directed by Joaquin Cambre, and the other producer was Dubrasca Arias and Paul Barrios. So overall, amazing team, beautiful video, and I would love for you to check it out and tell me what you think.
Yeah,
Later.
no, for sure. I'm gonna check it out and definitely let you know my thoughts on it. And everyone else listening as well, check it out. It's on YouTube. So that's really great, and I'm glad that you. I think the to take from all this is you were still staying creative, you're still staying productive through these challenging times, and it makes you even stronger, right? A lot of filmmakers or a lot of people might get discouraged in these events, but the fact that you were still able to create these pieces of content is so admirable, right? It's inspiring,
Yeah,
really. So I really commend you on that. And
thank you.
on the note of music videos, though, I did want to mention: did you ever cross paths, or are you inspired in any way from? He's a native from Toronto, Director X. I've recently followed him.
Yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
a lot of his music videos, man. He's a legend for
he did
sure.
one with Bieber and Popstar. That everyone in Toronto was
Popstar, the
raving about
Popstar
that.
is, yeah,
Yeah,
that was super fun. I love that video because it was so crazy.
I got the
And he actually
trifecta.
made he made a movie. He made the Superfly movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I was actually in Atlanta when they were shooting that, and we were in the same production office because I was working on a show for Turner called Miracle Workers,
nice.
and the Superfly crew was like on the other side of that complex. And then I watched that movie, and I liked that movie. And that goes to show you, like, music videos, they can lead to making movies, man. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are proud of Director X. He's amazing.
Yeah, no, he's a great representation, and the fact that he's from Toronto, and I didn't even know that he was involved in such big projects. And that
Mhm,
pop star video, you got Drake, you got Justin Bieber, you got him, and
mhm.
they're all from Toronto. So it was a really cool moment, and I just know it was trending for a while on social media.
Yeah, it's an amazing video. I love it, and I freaking love Drake. So one of my life goals is to make a music video for Drake.
And yeah, there you go, Champagne Poppy.
So hopefully
Everyone,
that
yeah,
happens. It's actually on my. I'm gonna show you. I'm not joking.
for sure.
Like, that's my bucket list. I don't know if you can
Oh,
see
you
it
put it
there.
on there. Love it, man. Yeah, no, I see it, man. That's
Drake
great.
music video, bro. Like I
Zip
I
lining right
I love
underneath.
Drake. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's been a great conversation, man. Always enjoy talking to people in the industry and hearing their journey and what they're up to. And I plan to have more of these conversations with you in the future
For sure,
and
man. And let me
talking
know
on our
when you
journey.
come to LA, when all this thing goes away and you come to LA,
Of
let's
course,
get dinner, let's get lunch, let's go do something together.
of course. That's great. Thank you so much, Axel. I
You're
appreciate you
welcome,
guys
man.
listening in, and take care.